Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be telling my labor and delivery story time. I also have snacks, so don't mind that. Okay, so this video is going to be pretty detailed. So if you don't like stuff like fluids and womanly body things, probably not the video for you. But with that being said, let's get into the video. This is so good. Okay. So when I was 37 weeks pregnant, I was losing a lot of my mucus plug, and I really thought that I was going to be going into labor really soon, like that week or the following week. So I actually didn't go into labor until I was 39 weeks. I was due December 5th and I went into labor December 3rd. So it was like a few weeks after I started losing my mucus plug that I actually went into labor. I woke up about 6 in the morning, and that night I had seriously cleaned so much, like the night before, so I barely even slept. But I woke up around 6 in the morning. I got up, I was getting a lot of contractions, and they were like 5 minutes apart, lasting 60 seconds, and there's this thing that, if you don't know, it's called 511, and it's for like contractions, and if you have contractions every 5 minutes lasting a minute for an entire hour, they want you to go to the hospital. And so that's what was happening to me. And on my phone I had downloaded a bunch of pregnancy apps, and on one of them there was like a contraction counter, and so that was like counting my contractions and telling me if they were regular, and I did that for about an hour, and then they were kind of getting more intense, so I ended up having to go to the hospital. But I did call my doctor first, and she just told me to go in and that they would check me. I remember they checked my cervix. They said that I think I was dilated 4 centimeters. I was 70% effaced, and they wanted to speed things up. So I had two options. I could either stay at the hospital and wait for my body to kick in and possibly be induced depending on how long that took, or I could go home and let my body do its thing. But when I was at the hospital, I was so close to having him. I was so ready to having him. I was just like, no, I'm gonna stay here, because to me, staying at the hospital felt like, okay, this is the day I'm gonna have my baby. And so I decided to stay at the hospital. I was still getting regular contractions. They were monitoring my contractions and his heartbeat, and everything was good, but my contractions weren't really like getting as intense as they needed to. As your baby grows, your uterus grows, and that's a muscle. So when you are going into labor, when you get contractions, your uterus tightens. So it's a muscle, and it tightens, and that's pushing the baby down, and it's a really long process depending on the person. I was in labor for 20 hours. My contractions weren't just like, they just weren't taking off, and they wanted to kind of speed things up. And so they induced me, and they broke my water. I remember when they wanted to break my water, I was really scared. I was really nervous because obviously this is like a first time experience for me. So I remember I was crying. I was laying on the bed crying because I was not ready for this. And when I first got to the hospital, I was chilling. I was like, I don't know what in my brain made me think that was the state of being I was gonna be in, but like that entire labor experience, I was coloring, bouncing on my ball, like I was just like, oh, this is great, like I don't see what the big deal is. But I was just like so excited to have Mason, so I was more in the mindset of like, oh, my baby's coming, rather than like, oh, these contractions are gonna get worse. This isn't the only, like, this isn't it. Dad! Bro, call me. Get out of here. What are you getting out of here? Just get in the way now. Get out of here.
Milk duds. My fee for going to get them.
Okay, bye. I'm finishing my
Call me,
video.
ladies.
So after they broke my water, the contractions started to pick up, and they got really intense really quick. Really intense. When I was in labor, they were trying to like feed me because they knew that like after a while I would be in so much pain that I couldn't eat it anymore. So they were giving me like applesauce and like soft foods like mashed potatoes. And I remember I got into the bathtub and they ran warm water over my belly. That soothes it really well. And like you have to breathe through the contractions. Oh my god, you guys, I do not have any words to express to you what labor feels like. It hurts. I'm not trying to scare you guys. Am I scaring you guys? I'm sorry. It's not. You can do it. I did have 2 doulas with me to support me in my labor. I really did not want an epidural. And it wasn't because I'm against epidural. No matter what you want to do, it's your labor, it's your experience, it's your body. So if you want to get an epidural in the early stages, if you don't want to get one at all, if you want to wait a little bit, that is up to you. It is your experience. Don't let anybody tell you anything about that. But for me personally, I wanted to do it because I wanted to be able to come out of that and say, wow, I did that, you know? So I did labor for about 18 hours, and it was just so intense for me personally. It was just so painful, and I just got to a breaking point. And I think what my breaking point was that I was in so much pain, but my body wasn't dilating more. It's like, I'm not dilating anymore. I've been 5 centimeters for 18 hours. This is the worst pain I have ever experienced. I cannot do this anymore. Like, if I'm not dilating anymore, I cannot do this. I don't know how long it's gonna be, but this is just too much for me. I think it was just my body was so stressed out. I just couldn't do it anymore. And I told everyone I need an epidural, like, and you know, they really wanted to make sure that this is what I really wanted, because I was so adamant about like not getting an epidural because I wanted that for myself. But at that point I was just like, I don't care, bring the drugs. It took like literally an hour or 2. It felt like forever though. When you're in labor, oh my god, when you're waiting for that epidural, girl, and you're having contractions and you're bent over your bed crying, it hurts like really bad, and it feels like forever. So it felt like literally forever waiting for that epidural to get there. She finally got there, and I think a big reason why a lot of people don't want an epidural is because they are scared of needles. But I can promise you, labor hurts more than an epidural shot. I mean, everybody is different, but for me, I didn't even feel it because I was in so much pain. I was actually getting a contraction when she was putting my epidural in, and I was just like, okay, like, I couldn't even feel the epidural. You have to stay really still, and you have to like bend over so that they can get that in the right place. But I think it was a good experience. I mean, she did a great job, the lady who gave me my epidural. After it settled in, it was so nice, you guys. Oh my gosh, it was so nice to just lay down. I felt like the people around me were disappointed, and I felt disappointed in myself because I felt like I wasn't strong, which I carried a big old baby for 9 months and did it by myself and was in labor for 18 hours and pushed that human out. I'm strong, okay? Like, holy crap. When you get an epidural, you have to they put a catheter in you. It was a little uncomfortable, I'm not gonna lie, but I was okay with it because I knew what contractions were like. So I was like, okay, do what you gotta do. But after a little while, I just ended up like sleeping on and off, and I was eating ice chips. I don't know if you guys know this, but after you get an epidural, you can't eat anymore. So the only thing I could eat was like I chewed on some ice. And I think I was in labor for another hour, and then my body was ready to push. And I really think that it was the epidural because my body was able to rest. I wasn't so overwhelmed anymore and like stressed and in so much pain, so my body was able to dilate. I just remember like telling my doulas like I'm ready, like I feel like I need to push. My doctor came in, my midwife came in, and she checked my cervix and I was ready to push. They coached me how to do it before I was ready to push. I was doing a really good job with pushing and with the breathing, but I think I just was so exhausted and everything, so they ended up getting 2 sheets and tying them together. And so they basically told me to like do tug of war with the nurse that was holding the other end. And so I was holding the sheet. I actually have a picture of me doing this, but I'm not going to show you guys because it's graphic. But I'm like holding the sheet and I'm like pushing myself forward towards my knees and pushing and doing it, and then I pushed for 30 minutes and Mason was born. I don't know if my epidural wore off. I don't know if Mason was just so big for my small little body that I could feel it. But guys, I could feel him coming out, okay? And you guys know, like, I've seen a lot of other labor and delivery vlogs where they actually show like the woman pushing. And I feel like everyone I've seen, they're so calm and collected because of the epidural. I had the epidural and I was screaming, and I don't know if it's because it wore off. I don't know if it's because Mason was so big, but I was screaming, you guys. I could feel it. My whole freaking, my down there was burning and I could just feel it all. I was yelling. Right away, I got to hold him. Oh my gosh, you guys. I can't even explain to you guys the feeling that you have when your baby is born. Like, it's just amazing. Like, I remember crying because I was so happy, like, to finally have him in my arms. So it was wonderful. After you get your baby out, they have to push your placenta out. And if you don't know what a placenta is, which I'm pretty sure most people do, but if you don't, it's actually an organ that your body makes when you're pregnant, and it's connected to the umbilical cord, which is connected to your baby's belly button. And it gives your baby oxygen, it gives them the nutrients they need, it gives them food, and that's actually how they breathe, I'm pretty sure. So no, it is, that's how they breathe. So they have to get your placenta out, and they have like a massage that they do on your stomach, and so they just they push it out. I felt that come out. And then, so depending on if you tear or not, I tore 2nd degree, so it wasn't horrible, but it was, torn. And they stitched my stuff back up. I could feel it. I was getting stitched up after they pushed my placenta out. All of my family came in to see Mason, and then after that is when they left. And then I was so exhausted after I had Mason. I remember they took him to weigh him. He was 8.5 pounds, 21 inches. And I remember I was so tired that I literally was like falling asleep while they were doing it. I really wanted to be present in that moment, but I was like so tired, like I could barely keep my eyes open. After they did all of that, they gave me Mason back. After I had him, they wanted me to try to breastfeed him, so he ate a little bit, and then they let me rest for a while. And then I remember, so after you have your baby, I think after a while they want you to go to the bathroom to go pee. There's like 2 nurses in there with you just to make sure you're okay. They try to help you because you just had a baby. And for me, I lost a lot of blood, so I got up. One of the nurses was trying to walk with me to the bathroom, and I like walked literally 4 steps from the bed, and I was about to pass out, and I was like, I think I'm gonna pass out. And then her and the other nurse helped me get back into the bed. So I was not able to go to the bathroom right then, but then, because my catheter was already out. What they do is they take you from one bed to another bed, and then they take you to the postpartum part of the hospital after you have your baby. But I could not get up, you guys. I would have passed out. So they ended up having to pick me up and put me in the other bed. And then by that time, everybody had left. My good friend Emma stayed with me. She's so sweet. She stayed with me the night with me and Mason, and I was super grateful that she was there. Yeah, and then me and Mason got to our postpartum room, and it was just a wonderful experience. I think having a baby is such a beautiful thing. Honestly, it's the best thing. And we were there for about 3 days, and then we went home. Well, that's the end of my labor and delivery story time. My voice is getting raspy. And the last thing I wanted to say, it is currently Thursday, and I will be starting school Monday, this upcoming Monday, so I'm really going to do my absolute best to film and get videos up every Saturday, but I do have school, and you know, I will be occupied and busy with that, but I will do my absolute best to still post every week and get that going in my schedule. But anyways, if you like this video, then give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. If you like these kind of videos and you want to see more, Mason will be in a lot of my videos, just he hasn't been in them that much. Right now it's literally like 10 o'clock, so he's sleeping, but I was busy all day, and this is the time that I had to film, so that's why I'm doing it now. But my next video, he will definitely be in, and so yeah, I will be posting every week, and subscribe, and once you do that, press the notification bell so that you don't miss any of our videos. Thank you guys for watching. Bye!